I, male 33, have a pretty big age difference with my brother, 44 member. He had a child at 25, which means that I became an uncle at 14. Because we were pretty close in age, I formed a special bond with my niece, Ella, now 18F. When she was 16, my brother and his family moved away, so I've been seeing them less recently, but we keep in touch and catch up at family events. Last year, at Christmas, my niece told me that she had a boyfriend and told me a bit about him, but I didn't know the guy. He was invited for Easter and a couple of other events, but was never able to make it. When we were planning our mother's birthday, my brother decided to invite Ella's boyfriend so that we could all meet him. Yesterday was the birthday. I was looking forward to meeting Mark, Ella's boyfriend, but was very confused when I saw her walk in with a man that looked double her age. Spoiler alert, he is. She introduced him to me, and I politely smiled but was deep down very concerned. I went to my brother to ask how old Mark was, and he told me that Mark is 36, so literally double Ella's age. She had told me that he was a bit older, but I assumed like early to mid-20s, not almost 40. That's when they called us in the living room to share exciting news. Ella showed us a ring and revealed that they were engaged. I just said, "What the frick?" and everyone turned around and looked at me like I was crazy. I told them that they were out of their minds if they thought this was normal, that there was no world in which a 30-something should date an 18-yo, and that she shouldn't be getting married. All of them accused me of ruining Ella's happiness. Some even said that I was jealous of Mark, which is so freaking disgusting, I can't even explain it. I mean, I'm younger than Mark, but never in a million years would I ever consider dating someone younger than 25. They told me that it was perfectly legal as they were both adults, which isn't true because they've been dating for a year and Ella turned 18 7 months ago, and that if they were happy, that's all that matters. I told them that they were sick for allowing this and that he was a predator, but they wouldn't listen. I know this isn't my business, but I can't help but fear for Ella. She is young and doesn't really know what she's getting into. I'm really scared of her getting married and being unable to leave him when she realizes how sick it was. I then left and slammed the door and have been receiving pretty wild messages and calls since then. I don't know if I was wrong for this and am just overreacting, and if I wasn't wrong, I don't know what I can do to make them realize how wrong it is. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "NTA, but damn, that's a tough situation. It's a valid concern considering the age gap. I can see why you reacted like that. Just be there for Ella if things go south." Another commenter added, "A 35-year-old going after a 17-year-old is ick. They are just too far apart in life experiences and station in life to have a relationship based on mutual respect and equality. These types of relationships are usually based on mutual exploitation. He gets a PYT, she gets access to material benefits not usually earned by people in her age group, and that is not a great thing to base a relationship on. I know I am generalizing, and there are cases of true and healthy love between people with this kind of age gap, but my reaction is the same as yours. This likely puts you on the outs with your family, but someone had to say what you said." Another commenter suggested, Tell Ella you are sorry for how you reacted, but that you were in shock. Tell her if you two are really meant to be, marriage can wait. Go to college and get some life experiences that will help her to be the best wife she can be. Hopefully, the delay will break them up and save a divorce lawyer. Offer to have her go to school near you. Even offer financial help if you can. The idea is to get her away from the guy and around people her own age. Break them up indirectly. If you do it directly, they will try and show you how wrong you are. Then another commenter said, "Yep, at this point OP needs to make Ella his best friend, because she will need him, and she will need to know that he's there for her." Now for the one-day update. If you didn't see my previous post, here's a TLDR. My niece is 18 and getting married with a man who's 36. They started dating when she was 17. When she announced she was engaged, I said that it was wrong that he was so much older than her, but everyone else found it okay. So I've taken the past 24H to really reflect on all of this. I tried to take in most of the advice in the comments, and here's what I have decided. I don't think that me telling her and everyone that the relationship is weird was wrong. I do, however, think that I did it wrong, and it was pretty harsh because it was in the heat of the moment. But I still find this very creepy and don't think she should get married. What I've decided to do is apologize to her. I sent her a text saying I was sorry for my outburst and that I should have thought it through beforehand. I told her that I never wanted to make her feel like I didn't want her to be happy and that I loved her very much and had her best interests in mind. Ask her if we could talk about this. I asked if she would be okay and free to hang out and maybe get coffee this week to talk about all of this with a clear head. I really want to try and get her to see why it's weird and that maybe marrying him is not a great choice. Explain myself to my brother. I sent him a text saying that I was sorry for the way I said it, but that I still thought that it needed to be said. I explained to him why I think Mark is a predator, and this relationship could have a very negative and damaging impact on Ella. I'm still waiting on their replies. I'll update when they reply, or when I see Ella, if she accepts, depending on how long it would take. In the meantime, I really want to thank everyone who gave me advice and was constructive and really tried to help my niece out of this situation. I also send my best to all of the people in the comments sharing similar stories when they were the teenager getting groomed. I'm so sorry this happened to you, and I really hope you're doing better now. Now for a few comments. One commenter shared, I was the stupid 18-year-old with a 32-year-old. It turned out poorly, but at the time, I thought he was the love of my life, and nobody could have told me otherwise. The apology good. Just let her know that you love her and will be there for her. Be nice to him, if you can stomach it, so she never has to choose between you. Maybe she'll get lucky and it will be happily ever after. But if it isn't, she may need a support system. Another commenter simply stated, you're still not the AH. My mom's 46 and my dad is 60. I'm not sure how old they were when they met, but they've been married a long time, before I was born. I'm 21. She's been a stay-at-home mom ever since they got together. She's expressed interest in working several times, but he never let her. She's completely dependent on him. He's done loads of things that she's had to put up with for years because she's dependent on him. I'm not saying this is how your niece's relationship will go, but unfortunately, I've realized this is the norm for relationships with huge age gaps. It's about control. I hope her relationship doesn't go this route, but be there for her throughout the relationship, just in case it does. She'll have someone to turn to. Now for a few comments. A commenter said, that sucks so much. It's definitely something to watch out for in age gap relationships. Hopefully, your mom can find a better life without him sooner than later. It would suck to have to restart your life in your 40s, but it sucks less than having it stay bad for decades. My parents are 12 years apart and got married at 20 and 32. They're still happily together, but my mom almost left my dad when she was 5 years older than your mom is now. My dad had started becoming emotionally hurtful, and even though my mom had never done more than intermittent or substitute elementary school teaching, she was going to leave and figure out how to do it on her own without him. It was a scary time in her life. Starting over is scary. Escaping abuse is scary. Wishing y'all the best of outcome. In kinda good news, my dad had started becoming hurtful due to personality changes from a medical condition. After getting diagnosed and corrected, he went back to the wonderful person he truly was, almost 80 and trying to tear up the pickleball courts when he's not cheering my mom on. Then another commenter added, I'm glad your dad was diagnosed and able to get help. I feel like maybe my dad has some undiagnosed issues, but knowing him, he'll never get evaluated or accept that something may be wrong. What makes me think he may have some undiagnosed issues is his obsession with control. I literally cannot talk to my mother without him wanting to know what I said to her, me, or any of my siblings. It's like his ears are always peeled. It could be the most unimportant thing. He'll insist my mother tell him what me or my siblings say. It's like he just doesn't feel right if he's not in the know of every little thing, no matter how unimportant. Then the first commenter responded, it must have been very difficult to figure out yourself growing up. Honestly, you're still growing up, maturing, and shaping yourself into the person you'll become. Figuring out what you can control in your life and healthy boundaries so you are not hurt, nor do you purposefully hurt others, is difficult and messy. It's okay to make mistakes as long as we learn from them. Trying to control things that are outside of our control is like being mad at the rain for being wet. You just gotta remember to close your windows and grab your umbrella. Maybe check you're not wearing socks with sandals. I hope you and your siblings have a good support network. Finally, the original poster replied, thanks a lot for listening, kind stranger on Reddit. This app isn't full of weirdos after all. Kidding? Not really. There are definitely some weirdos on Reddit. Am I the idiot for demanding my wife tear down her cheating conspiracy board before it ruins our marriage? My wife and I are both in our later 30s and live in a typical suburban neighborhood. She's always been fascinated by trashy movies and shows about infidelities and true crime stories involving cheating partners. Recently, a scandal broke out in our neighborhood when a couple divorced due to infidelity. My wife became obsessed with learning every detail about it. One day, I stumbled upon a massive bulletin board in her home office. It was a conspiracy board with pictures of our neighbors connected by yarn, tracking rumored infidelities. She claimed it was a harmless hobby, like a creative art piece, but I found it creepy. Things got worse when I found myself on the board, connected by yarn to a neighbor's wife. My wife said it represented potential matches for cheating. I got upset and told her to get rid of the board, or our marriage would be in trouble. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, I really couldn't see it getting weirder until she mentioned adding herself to the board. This is a strange game your wife's playing, and it seems like an unhealthy obsession with infidelity. Another added, NTA. It's absolutely creepy for her to print out pictures of her neighbors and then speculating about you and another neighbor. Now for the 5-day update. I approached my wife, encouraged by the comments, and told her I thought her hobby was creepy. She apologized and promised to get rid of the board. But 2 days later, a neighbor found a bra under the bed that didn't belong to his wife. My wife was ecstatic because the board had predicted his infidelity. I checked the board and noticed changes, which made me suspicious. I visited the neighbor and asked if my wife had been over recently. He confirmed she had been there to water a plant. I asked to see the bra, and it turned out to be my wife's. She confessed to planting it to validate her hobby. I was furious and demanded she confess to the neighbor's wife. Now for some more comments. One commenter said, I honestly refuse to believe this is real. Your wife is actually nuts. Another said, one word, divorce. Your wife deliberately interfered with someone else's marriage. Now for the final update. 2 months later. It's been months since the last update. My wife is in a mental health facility. I did not speak to my wife for a while after what happened previously. I tried to stay working or out of the house as often as I could. A few weeks passed, and time made it seem like less and less of a big deal. Finally, my wife offered to take me out to a very nice dinner to make things up to me. She told me everything was behind her, and while I was avoiding her, she had actually started online therapy to get help and realized now what she did was wrong. I really believed her, and we had a great night. One thing led to another that night, and yeah, lol. It took about 2 days after that for her to get a pregnancy test, and she texted me the positive result. Yeah, I know some of you already think I'm a moron, but it had been a rough year, and this made me really happy. I started getting very excited. We started talking about turning my home office into a baby room, looking up ways to prepare, booking appointments, planning a shower, etc. A really fun but whirlwind week. Unfortunately, she told me the first ultrasound was at a time I had to be at work, and she would have to go alone. It really bummed me out, and I asked her to reschedule, but she said it was the only availability. Well, that next week, she went, and I was waiting for an update or pictures or anything. Nothing. She came home and was super quiet, and I flipped out and got super worried that the worst had happened. I told her I understood she was probably in a lot of pain about something, but she had to tell me. She finally admitted no, it wasn't a miscarriage, but she was actually pregnant for longer than she thought, longer than the last time we did it. She actually got pregnant during the time I was avoiding her. Obviously, I was so mad and upset, and I couldn't understand why she would do this to me. But then I realized all the signs were there for so long, and all the comments telling me she was probably cheating were right. But I tried to keep a clear head for at least a second, because I really love my wife, and I couldn't believe it. I asked her who it could have been, and she actually said she didn't know. She said she hadn't done it with anyone during the time I was avoiding her. She swore it, and also didn't know what this meant. I thought about it and realized if she was really pregnant for that long, her tummy should be showing, and it wasn't. I decided to call the place and ask them to confirm what they said. My wife told me it would be a waste of time, and she promised she heard them clearly, so I didn't do it that night. But I couldn't sleep that night without hearing it from the doctors myself. I called the clinic she told me she went to the day before in the morning and asked them to confirm the results. They told me something worse than I expected. She had no visit. She was never there. I didn't understand that at all. Before I talked to my wife again, I did what I should have done in the first place and reverse image searched the pregnancy test image. Yeah, it was on Google from a random years-old Facebook post. I was again really mad at my wife and couldn't believe she would put me through all this. I confronted her about the picture and that I called the place and there was no appointment. I told her she had a pattern of lying, and this was probably the end of our relationship. But she responded in a way I didn't expect. She burst into tears and went manic, which I did expect, but then said that she really had cheated on me and really was pregnant, and that I had made this up in my head because I couldn't face what she did to me. She said she felt like the devil and dictator, and started sobbing and literally screaming at the top of her lungs. She locked herself in the bathroom and told me she was going to unalive herself over what she did to me. I couldn't get the door open and freaked out. I called the cops, and they broke the door down. She was not hurt, but she was really out of it. They took her to get a mental evaluation, and she told them everything there. She even started mixing in stuff about the board and how she knew everyone around her was a cheater, so she had done the same because she was in an evil place. She promised them she was pregnant, but she didn't know who the father was. They tested her while in custody, and no pregnancy at all. They told me she was likely suffering from a form of schizophrenia and actually genuinely believed what she was saying and likely always had to some level, but it seemed to be getting worse. They said she had a symptom called self-accusation and needed help. Well, I got her in a facility last week, and she is safe. They are making a little progress. I do not think she thinks she is pregnant anymore. I have visited a few times, but she is very withdrawn with me and says she feels too guilty to look me in the eye. I think there was definitely meddling at certain parts, like planting evidence, but now I just feel terrible. I did not get her the help she needed when all the real signs were there. I hope her medication starts to help and she can be normal again. And yeah, the neighborhood gossip is having a field day with all this. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope this is my last update. Thanks for all the help. Now for a few important comments. Comfortable Focus 123 said, she was probably suffering from mental illness for a while. The recovery will be a long process. I have been through something similar as this and finally divorced years after. I wish you luck and advise you to get some counseling yourself to learn how to deal with this. Good luck. Then, Ninja Star Kid commented, NTA, don't beat yourself up. It's not always an easy thing to identify and or accept, especially with loved ones. No one wants to think their loved one is having some sort of mental health crisis, so they will see any other option as the truth over the actual truth. That doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you human. Honestly, I think you have incredible patience to stick with her despite everything. I hope all the best to you and your wife, and a speedy recovery for all involved. Am I the idiot for refusing to play daddy to my ex's exchange student baby? My long-term girlfriend cheated on me, got pregnant, but everyone around me keeps pressuring me to stay with her. So we grew up together in a small town, known each other for our whole life, and eventually fell in love when she was 17 and moved to the city together 2 years ago. I work as a carpenter, and she's still at uni. 2 weeks ago, she suddenly dropped the news that she's 3 weeks pregnant. I know for sure it cannot be mine because I always use protection and never have intimacy under alcohol, drug influence. I don't drink or smoke. So I pressured her, and she confessed that she slept with an exchange student during a school vacation trip. She said he's been hitting on her for weeks, but the intimacy was unplanned. That's why he didn't have condom prepared, and she didn't have pills ready. And it's only one-time thing, and she has no feeling for the guy anymore. I was totally in shock, but after a day, I decided that I can't stay in this relationship anymore. First, I'm not ready to raise a child that is not my own. Second, I don't know if I am able to forgive her for betraying me, at least not at the moment. So I break it off, ask my boss if I can stay at the worker rooms for temporary worker at the warehouse, and let my girlfriend stay at our place till she finds a house. I pay full rent because only I work. So eventually, our families and our mutual friends got the news, and now they are all pressuring me to get back with my girlfriend, except for my sister who supports me. They say it's wrong to abandon her at a time like this. Especially my dad, who I had a fight with every 2 days because of this. He said he knows she's a good girl, just a young people mistake, that I should stay with her and give the child for adoption. And my friends keep messaging me, convincing me to take her back. One of them even accuses me because I am the reason she moved to the city, so it's my responsibility. Now I am heartbroken, lonely, and shattered. Feels like the whole world doesn't give a single frick about how I feel. I just want to move to a new city and start everything from zero, but don't have the courage. Maybe some advice from you guys would ease the stress. Now for a few important comments. Your friends are being ridiculous. Listen to me. It doesn't matter if it was a one-time thing. This girl cheated on you and then was hoping you wouldn't realize that you couldn't have got her pregnant. She was going to pretend like you were the father. She cheated and lied and was going to let you raise a child that isn't yours without you knowing. She only told you because you pushed. Kick her out of your apartment and tell her to go live with her baby daddy. You owe her nothing. And no, she clearly isn't a nice person. Now, for the update. I didn't think my story would get this much reaction. Thank you all you guys for caring and giving me advice. I tried to read all the comments that I could. I thought I could get through this alone, but you guys make me realize that I am not alone. So I just called my little sister, and she will be on the train to the city tomorrow morning to stay with me for the weekend. I also called my parents and her parents, and they agreed to come to us this weekend to discuss this matter. I don't know how it's going to go, but I hope I can update my situation in the next few days. Sorry for not updating soon. The initial plan was for our parents to come to us, but they called in the last minute saying they can't come because of their jobs. So we had to take the train back to our hometown last Tuesday. So because they didn't follow the plan, my sister and I had the whole weekend talking about my decision. Mostly she asked questions, and I answered to my true feeling, and in the end, it's unchanged how I feel. So I went to the meeting with everyone on Tuesday. I told my sister she shouldn't come. That was the first time I met my ex-girlfriend since the incident. I block all my social media and told her not to contact me. I told my parents right from the start that I've made a decision and I am just here to discuss how to handle things. First, a lot of you guys said I should take a paternity test. I proposed the idea, but after a few minutes of discussion, she said she doesn't want to do it. I'm still sure that I am not the father, so it's her choice, really. Second, about the real father. My ex-girlfriend said she contacted the guy herself, and he was as shocked and panicked as we were. He will be back to his home in October, so he didn't have a clue how to handle everything. Neither. And we agreed we won't involve the guy anymore, as we wanted nothing to do with him. Third, about the child. She and her parents decided to go for baby unaliving. They said because the pregnancy is only a few weeks old, so she won't have to go to surgery and can do home baby unaliving. They explained a lot, but I don't have much knowledge on this. I think that's the main reason they didn't want a paternity test, because they don't want to wait. I am okay with that. That left us to the final one. I wanted to break up. I'd expected everyone to jump at me, but it surprised me that they didn't. My ex-girlfriend just sat there biting her lips with her head down. I think she's already known what I'd say. In all our years together, I've always been the one who made my opinion heard, and she's the silent type. Her parents were totally silent. My dad sat there with his arm crossed, and my mother tried to ask something once in a while. So it was just me monologuing the whole damn thing. So that's it. We broke up, but I still wanted to remain friends. I still care about her, and you can't just completely erase 20 years of your life. We went back to the city together, and it's just 1.5 hours of us talking about all the good memories since we were children. That's the first time I felt peace in weeks, to be honest. We spent the last few days packing up her stuff. She will stay in the city with me till next week for doctor appointments, then go back to our hometown for a while. Thank you guys for making me feel I am not alone in this. Many of you made supportive comments and inboxes to me. I think I will have myself a fresh start. Maybe university is a good choice, as my sister is also going to university next year. Now for a few comments. Next step is to get new friends, because the ones you have obviously don't care about your feelings. Do not go back to her. This sounds like there's potential of them thinking you can eventually reconcile. The fact you were talking about childhood memories, etc. This person betrayed you. Those childhood memories meant nothing to her when she opted to sleep with someone else and betray you. Stick to your guns and find a girl that will love you. He's gonna forgive her, and they're going remain together miserable. I can read between the lines.